Longhorns finished the 2025 season, guys, with a 41-27 victory over the Michigan Wolverines. For the second consecutive season, the Longhorns defeated the Wolverines, one to start last year just about, and one to finish this year. Rod Babers alongside, I'm Bobby Burton. This episode of the OTF Postgame brought to you by our friends at Flight by Yingling. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Rod Babers, what did you think of this performance? A gutty one from a young quarterback out of New Orleans, Louisiana, by the name of Arch Manning.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of, there are a lot of things that were working against Texas, right? You had a lot of adversity you had to deal with. That injuries, guys, especially at the wide receiver position, multiple guys getting dinged up in the game. They were terrible, by the way, on third downs in this game. You didn't really notice because Arch was so magnificent, especially when it came to the scramble drill and keeping plays alive. But it really, I think when it was clutch time, Sark decided to put the game in Arch's hands. We were talking about that on the live broadcast. Like when it was clutch time, who are you going to trust if you're a Sark, right? Some coaches, they think players. Some coaches think plays in clutch time. I remember the best coaches say, you should think about the players in clutch time, right? Get the ball in the hands of your best players. Well, that was Arch. Like Arch was the guy in clutch time for you. It kind of brings me back to something that Jeff said during the season when we talked about the identity of the offense. And he was like, the identity of the offense is Arch. It's just Arch. You put the ball in Arch's hands and you do your best to facilitate a great, play call around him and, try to execute your best. But the truth is Arch he has found a way oftentimes when the chips have been down and everything's working against him. And I talk about the offensive line. I'm not hating on the offensive line in this game. I'm just saying a lot of your biggest plays were scramble and scramble drill plays too by Arch. And that just shows you that even when the play breaks down, Arch can still find a way to turn it into something positive. So I think his decision-making, once again, has shown that if he continues on this pace, I mean, you could be talking about, I think on the broadcast, they said he's going to be the Heisman front runner to start the season. I don't want to get into all the Heisman hype and talk, but if he continues on this pace, he has a chance to be like, or meet the expectations and be the player that everybody anticipated. Because he's really freaking good right now. Like he basically put the whole offense on his back in that game. By the way, Christian Clark, got to give a shout out to Christian Clark. We talked about guys who would take advantage of an opportunity in this game. Who gonna be the guys? Like you're gonna get extra playing time, who are gonna be the players who step up and say, you know what? I'm gonna maximize this opportunity. I'm gonna force the coaches to think twice about what they're gonna do in the transfer portal just because of my performance in this game. Well, Christian Clark, God bless you, young man. You had a hell of a game. So I'll give him props. There are some other, Ty Anthony Smith, give him some props. Ended up with 2 interceptions in the game. I just think that, I'll give props to a lot of the guys, in addition to Arch, who stepped up and made the most of the moment. And guys we didn't anticipate. Ron Roberson, I thought, had a hell of a game. Just kind of other guys who just kind of took advantage of the moment and played the best game I've seen them play. So I thought that was also encouraging going forward. But the storyline, yeah, it's Arch. He's that damn good. And that's it's crazy. We come here full circle from the people who are saying, "Oh, he's a bust," but now, no. I think he is as good as we thought he would be. It just took some time to get there, and in this game, he definitely showed his ability to put the cape on and take over.
And he put the cape on in the second half, in particular. And Rod, a lot was made about this game going into it, and the number of defensive starters the Longhorns lost, 6. That either opted out or chose to go into the portal for this team. But not much was made about the offensive guys who left. Obviously, Trey Weiser and Cedric Baxter, 2 of those, as well as DeAndre Moore. And then during this game, Texas loses Emmett Mosley and Ryan Wingo. So Texas essentially out. I'm going to say this. Texas essentially out 6 defensive starters from the regular season and 4 offensive starters from the regular season and still win like they did today, going away a little bit against a Michigan team that, frankly, I know the announcers were loving on Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood looks like a one-read quarterback to me right now. Very
Were they
talented.
on them? Did he?
They were
I didn't
bragging
hear
on him.
it. I was doing an in-game live.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, yeah. They were bragging on him. I'm like, he looks like a one-read quarterback right now to me. Now, he may be as talented as they come and may grow into something.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, he's got some growth still to go. Arch finishes with 357 yards of total offense. We'll look over that. I wanted to mention those injuries, though, because Texas outscoring Michigan in the second half. And in the fourth quarter, frankly, when all of those injuries came home to roost, literally only Parker Livingston was the only starter out there at wide receiver as the game came to a close. They went with Dalen McCutcheon as well as Khalid Lockett, who had a big touchdown catch. Jack Indries had a touchdown catch, a couple of big runs by Arch Manning along the way as well. A 41-27 win for the Longhorns. Rod, Texas finishes 10-3 on the season as well. We'll hear a little bit more from Steve Sarkisian's post-game press conference, as well as CJ Vogel, who is in Orlando right now, a little bit later in this broadcast. But let's look at the stats. Everybody that's stuck with us throughout this game, look at this. You won't see a prettier stat line from Arch Manning. 21 of 34 for 221, and then 9 for 155 rushing. Rod, he had 4 or 5 drops in the first half alone.
Exactly. Yes.
These numbers don't even tell the real story, in my opinion.
Yep.
But I wanted to mention that real quick. What did you think? You said he put the cape on. How good a quarterback play was this? From a bowl game perspective, is this as good as we saw from Vince and Colt? Because I kind of think it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was one of those Vince Young-like moments and Colt moments where, like I said, the offense, it was just him taking over the game and making great plays. And even the play, shout out to Khalid Lockett, who got a touchdown right in the game. But before that, Arch had took a shot, and you could tell that he was dealing with something, man. You know what I mean? He was dealing with the obviously the effects of that hit, whether it be a shoulder or whatever he was dealing with, and yet was able to come back together and cool, calm, and collected, and with poise, make a hell of a throw to Khalid Lockett. And so I think you just saw the maturity from Arch in so many ways. And like I said, they overcame adversity. They still had 12 penalties in the game, right? 12 penalties. That also took away some plays. I hadn't gone back and tracked it, but it took away also. I remember some positive plays, big runs by Arch and being like, oh, damn. That's just coming all the way back. So there were plays that came back, and yet this team did not allow the adversity to overcome them. And what I love about it late, I mean, think about it, Bobby. Michigan had they took that lead in the fourth quarter, right? And it was 27-24 lead with about 11 minutes left, a little under 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Texas was up basically 38-27 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That Sark run we talk about, that it happened in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
The Sark run, and they hadn't had a lot of those this year, by the way. With the Sark run that basically puts a team away. The Sark run is when you basically have 2-3 scores, and it's complementary football because you need to get the ball back quickly. So that's a defense forcing a turnover, special teams making a big play, and then you score really quickly again, and you basically put a team away in like a 6-minute span. And they did that in the fourth quarter. Michigan's up early in the fourth quarter, guys, and by midway through the fourth quarter, Texas is up 2 touchdowns. You're like, what just happened? Yep. What? And Michigan has no hope at all when they were up in the fourth quarter, thinking we're about to put Texas away. Fantastic.
Yeah. And we've got a bunch of plays and in particular plays that I remember from this game that I think will impact it. I want to say one thing real quick because we're getting some super chats and we'll get to those momentarily. A lot of folks asking about Justice Terry and why he didn't play today. He's been dealing with a bummed shoulder a lot this week, we're told. He literally he did not dress fully out. He wore his jersey and was on the sideline. That doesn't mean he's getting ready to transfer. Some people read into that a little too much, I think, at this point. Of course, obviously, the portal does open on January 2nd, and Texas, as we've mentioned, they're going to be very aggressive in the transfer portal. and they're also going to be aggressive with roster retention as well. So Justice Terry is certainly one of those, but we don't have more information than that. We were told going into the game that it was a bum shoulder that would keep him out. Texas also fought through some flu running through the locker room. Trevor Gooseby, starting left tackle, actually was thought to be maybe a game time guy at one point this week because he was under the weather as well. He obviously acquitted himself very well. We'll talk more about that momentarily. Offensive MVP, clearly Arch Manning for the Longhorns. Rod, defensive MVP, clearly Tyanthony Smith. Two interceptions in that fourth quarter, to your point. One of them a beautiful one over the middle where he was running stride for stride and made it up and away from his body. Leading tackler on the day as well for the Longhorns, young man from Jasper, makes a tiptoe interception then along the sideline that really salted the game away, I think, for the Longhorns. That was unbelievable play by him. What are your thoughts about the defense under Johnny Nansen taking over for Pete Kwiatkowski for this one game?
I thought they were conservative early on in the game, and I think that's because they didn't want to make the big mistake, give up easy touchdowns, things of that nature. So he played a lot of too high show coverage. But late, once they were done with the filling out process, I like the game he called. I think he got a little bit more aggressive in his play calling. But ultimately, guys just stepped up. Tyanthony Smith had a hell of a game. One of the things that we talk about with the Texas linebackers is I think the Texas coaches are looking for the guy that can give you added value at linebacker. Now, you got to be able to play the off-ball linebacker position for Texas or play inside linebacker position for them. But I think they like guys who also can be pass rushers. So it seems like most of their linebackers have a pass rushing dimension to their game, or Tyanthony Smith, who is a plus in coverage. And we've been talking about for a while. And the coaches like him. That's why when they would do those NASCAR packages, they're basically their third and long packages when they know they're going to face a predictable passing situation. They put Tyanthony Smith in there because they think he's a plus in coverage. I even track games, and I used to get sometimes confused because he's got that 20, something number on, and then you look at it like, oh, that's not. He moves like a DB. He's fluid out in space. So I think that you saw that come to fruition in this game, where those interceptions, both of them were, those extremely skilled linebackers don't usually make interceptions like that. Right? You saw Anthony Hill make a few of those, right? This year. So Anthony Hill matter of fact, he made one on the sideline. Remember Anthony Hill made that beautiful interception on the sideline in that game, and then he also made that great one in the Georgia game, similar to this Tyanthony Smith one. He's fantastic in coverage, guys, and that's what I think. I don't necessarily think he's a plus as a pass rusher, like a Brad Spence is, or like an Anthony Hill was, or like a Trey Moore was. But I think in coverage, he may be one of your best, if not your best coverage linebacker, especially right now.
Cade Phillips also got the start, finished with 8 tackles. He started playing the run extremely well in that outside screen game really well later in the game as he got used to the speed of the game, I thought, Rod Babers, especially in that third and fourth quarter. Jelani McDonald looked and felt like he was a train wreck. Every time he was hitting somebody, it felt like they felt it, because I felt it while watching the game. He was coming with the hammer. Warren Roberson, I thought, had a tremendous game. You mentioned him early as well, a young man that really went hard. Grayson Littleton had a good game. Wardell Mack had a interception in this one that thwarted a Michigan drive. All in all, while Michigan averaged, I think, more than 5 yards a carry on the day, Texas was able to outscore Michigan and make Michigan into a one factor team with the pass game. And then once that happened, Michigan just could not keep up with the Longhorns. Texas winning 41-27. We'll talk a little bit more about the offense and the defense. The special teams were out, I thought, almost gave the game away here. You and I were talking right before we went on, and a couple of long returns for Michigan, even a punt return that Michigan had. You said you had an idea what may have happened there that was a little bit different than what we've seen from this Texas special teams unit all season.
Yeah, usually your special teams is made up of your backups mostly, right? Guys who don't dominate the snap share for you, right? And in this matchup in the bowl game, how many guys they take with them on the trip, Bobby?
65. 65, yeah.
So you only took 65 guys, and a lot of your frontline starters were already out for the game. So those backups, who usually were these guys who play all special teams and got few snaps, all right, on offense and defense, they were playing most of your snaps on offense and defense. And in addition to playing your special teams, and then you had injuries and guys getting knocked out of the game. So you had guys probably thrown into the mix playing special teams who usually, weren't accustomed to playing that position. So I think it was a lot of things, because we hadn't seen their coverage be that bad actually all season. That was the worst. That was the worst the coverage unit has looked all season long, pretty much. So I do think, I'm going to say that's not a coincidence, because you had so many young guys and backups playing actual key snaps for your offense and defensively that actually did bleed over into your special teams. And those guys were just tired. I think a lot of them were tired, and the injuries also had probably some guys playing out of position they normally wouldn't play. So
I want to add this because I think it was important. Mason Shipley also hit 2 long field goals. Nice way to cap his career for the Longhorns. That's Carter. That put him up by 2 touchdowns. At that point, you knew Michigan wasn't going to be able to score, right? No. Might have gotten a long field goal and lucky on one play to get a touchdown, but they weren't going to be able to score twice. They just didn't have the firepower on offense from a throwing the ball perspective today. No. All right, before we get into your questions and more commentary on the game, as well as seeing CJ Vogel and Coach Steve Sarkisian later in this game, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. Our sponsor is none other than Flight by Yuengling. Flight, it's the next generation of light beer with only 95 calories. It's an easy drinking, upscale light beer designed to elevate your taste buds. With just 2.6 carbs per serving, Flight's an easy-to-drink beer with a clean, crisp taste. Try Flight from Yuengling, thanks to the fine folks at Flight and our friends at Faust Distributing, who say, celebrate safely this New Year's Eve with a Longhorn victory, 41-27, thanks to the folks at Flight as well as Faust Distributing. All right, Rod, let's get to a couple of questions because we've got a few before we get to CJ and others that will be joining us here momentarily. Let's start, if you don't mind, Rod, with this one. MT Houston says, make no mistake, this is a big win. Rod, first time since 07, 08, 09 that Texas has won 10 straight games. When Steve Sarkisian was hired, we said, can he take Texas back to where 10 wins was just assumed?
Yep.
And I think the jury has ruled. I think Steve Sarkisian now has Texas in that category, and now everybody's looking towards 2026 with Arch Manning and Colin Simmons and Jelani McDonald, those guys returning.
Yep, I just think the momentum that you go into 2026 with, the confidence Arch Manning now goes into 2026 with, and the maturity, right? We talked about what happened on that long road trip for the Longhorns in SEC play, that we saw them mature, right? Those close wins, finding a way to win those games on the road, Texas getting punched in the mouth, not realizing no, this is the SEC. No matter who you play on the road, especially at night game, you're going to get punched in the mouth. You better be ready for it. Find a way to win those games. And I think this team grew up during that time. And I was wondering in this bowl game, I was like, are we going to see maturity? There are a lot of reasons for them to be distracted. Guys are opting out, but you still got your key cogs in place. Arch, Colin Simmons, we still got some of those key cogs there. That leadership alone and that obviously how talented those guys are, they should be able to keep this group focused, right? And those young guys, how hungry they are. Did they see the example before them with the Tafts and the Anthony Hills and Ethan Burks, the workman-like philosophy? No, we're ready. This is not, we know those guys aren't available, the frontline stars to proven commodities, but we are ready to go. We are chomping at the bit for this opportunity. And I think we saw that, right? So I saw the maturity in this team, right? There was no excuse to lose this game just because there were a lot of distractions. No, go out there and win the game. And we saw it mattered to both teams, by the way. It mattered late. They got chippy. They started getting each other's face. You saw, guys talking trash because it mattered in the end, winning time. They wanted to win the game. That's what mattered most. They understood the assignment. So I like the maturity in this team that I saw too throughout the season and especially at the end of the season.
Gonna have to put Ty Anthony Smith in that category.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's back next year. Speaking of that, one of the guys that did get hurt in the game, we didn't mention his injury, but I do have a report here. Did Emmett Mosley get hurt? Yes, he did. He went down on a catch along the sideline and did not return. He was seen on crutches at the game and during the game. It was not a knee, though. He was in a boot. So either ankle or lower leg injury, most likely. Could be a foot injury even for Emmett Mosley. Again, Mosley out, DeAndre Moore out, and Ryan Wingo out. And Texas still scores what? 21 points, 24 points in the second half against the Michigan Wolverines. Big time play. And let's hear it for the offensive line, too, by the way, stepping up in this game because Arch had time to throw. And that's a big piece of it. Congrats to that offensive line for making that happen. One thing that did happen early, the receivers were not helping themselves much. A couple of drops. We mentioned that out of the gate. We had Dalen McCutcheon miss one. Parker Livingston dropped one in the breadbasket. Ryan Wingo maybe should have caught one. Chris Hinich says, break the bank, get Cam Coleman. Get Manning Cam Coleman. Hey, Cam Coleman had some drops this year as well.
He did.
But certainly, I want to say this. Texas, I can report, going to be very active in the portal. And I would say this, if a young receiver is watching a game and watch Arch Manning to play today, maybe they might want that to be their quarterback for their final year of college football. This one from Equine Shaddocks. All in all, heck of a season. Beat both rivals. Saw them bow out earlier in the season than us. So excited for the upside next year with Arch. Equine, I got to say this. I got a text from a good friend of mine, actually with 10 minutes to go in the first quarter, and it said we already matched A&M's offensive output for the bowl season. So Texas. You were correct. Did have a good season. 10-3 is a good year. Was it perfect? No. Everybody will look back at the Florida game with what do you call it? Not disgust or just what could have been. What could have been. I want to say this, though, without Florida, Rod, without Mississippi State, even without Kentucky, do we see this Arch Manning against Michigan December 31st, 2025? And I don't know. I think some of that grit and some of that fight, he had to put it on the line a little bit to get to where he ended this year at.
Yeah, and you didn't have this Arch in the Florida game, right? This is the Arch that's developing and maturing before our very eyes. But if you get this guy, because I think I feel like he's getting better every game. And if you're getting that guy who's getting better week to week in terms of decision making and the playmaking ability too, and they're going to add more pieces. Now you're talking about adding a run game. Think about this. He had one of the worst. And I'm not trying to hit on this O-line because they made improvements and they got better as well. But overall, he was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in all the Power Four. So there was a lot of pressure all season. And Texas had, for Sark, his worst run game as a play caller that he's ever had as a play caller. So now you're talking about improving the pass protection and the run game around him. And some of y'all like, go get Cam Coleman. Yeah. Go get the best receiver in the portal. And you know what? At this point, I usually would side with, hey, get value at receiver. Sark's done a really good job. Matthew Golden, we've talked about that. Emmett Mosley is one of those guys too. A.D. Mitchell. Those are all kind of value picks. Those guys outperform their deals, from what I understand. Sark end up being a first-round pick and a second-round pick. With Cam Coleman, you're going to pay a lot of money. Here's my big butt. Here's my Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams size, Cardi B size, Megan Thee Stallion size butt. I'm not necessarily all in on spending $2 million on a receiver, but Arch is special. I feel like he is very special. So if you just had a receiving core, kind of how it is now, I think he could uplift that group to play better. But I do understand any of you in the chat, guys and gals, who are saying, why take a chance?
That's right.
He's this special that we think he can be the best player in college football. Why take a chance? Just go get him the best available option out there, and then let the chips fall where they may. Don't take a chance. And I get that too, because you had two guys go out in this game. So what that happens during the season, not going to win. So I get it. I'm not going to hate on the Cam Coleman sales pitch. No, I'm not going to hate it.
All right. This one from Josh Manning. Just took a bath in Cheez-Its, lots of crumbs in uncomfortable places. Worth it, though. Rod, then we got this one for you and me as well. This one, a big one. Texas, Kozer 7. Texas won over Michigan team in a bowl game a little over 20 years ago. Yes, they did. This team scored 3 more points to beat a Michigan team. We all know what happened the following year. Yes, we do. Is that foreshadowing? Rob, the helmet, Bobby, get a mayo and corn dog. Jerry, get the shade. How about this? I was gonna save this until the end of the game, but there we go. It's all over. We did it. Oh boy, my wife, I'm gonna have a hard time cleaning this up, and I know she's not gonna help me later. But hey, thanks for the super chat. We appreciate it very much. And I will say, games like this tend to carry over into the next season. And this is what we talked about earlier today on the Tailgate Show, Rod, is how much momentum do games like this give you for next season? I don't know that this is going to be the greatest, the greatest momentum driver of all time, but it certainly tells you that you are on the right track. You didn't just beat A&M because it was a home game, right? You didn't just go and beat OU because it was a neutral site rivalry game. This is a game where actually Michigan 9-3 in the Big 12 or Big 10. They had most of their they only lost 3 starters to the portal or opt out compared to Texas. You went in there and you still beat them and beat them pretty soundly. And I think it gives you, I don't know if it's foreshadowing, but hopefully it is, I guess. What are your thoughts?
I think it's the confidence that can turn into swagger for you as a team, right? That's what I saw from the 04 and the 05 team. Like I remember those guys when they were babies, right? Coming in as freshmen. I remember that group, and I remember thinking, damn, their upside and their talent level is way higher than our talent level was. But they were still babies. Like they didn't necessarily have all of they didn't have all the 11 herbs and spices, right? They had the raw material, but they still needed some fine seasoning and to be cultivated. Well, by 04, you saw the maturation of that group in that 04 season, right? And losing to Oklahoma. And then by the time they got to that Michigan game, and it all carried over into the offseason. This offseason is a little bit different because you'll have new pieces with the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff. But the confidence that I think these guys ended that game with was phenomenal. Like offensively, defensively. I mean, I saw guys I hadn't seen play with. I never seen Rowan Roberson play with confidence before. You ever seen Rowan Roberson play with that kind of confidence? He had to leave the game because he knocked himself woozy. All right. I'm sure he made himself a Muschamp favorite, I'm sure, in that game. And then come out there and play with more confidence. Ty Anthony Smith. I hadn't seen him play with that kind of confidence in this game, too. Arch Manning, that's definitely, his swagger continues to build. And swagger means you have confidence to spare. That's my definition of it. And I need my quarterback to have swagger because he's going to have to sprinkle some on the wide receivers. I'm going to sprinkle some on the O-line every now and then. That's what VY would do. He had so much swag. He's like, I can give you a little bit of mine. You ain't got something? You feeling insecure? Don't worry, I got you. And he'd give you something. Your quarterback can infuse that in the whole team. And Arch's going to have enough of that to infuse in everybody next season. That's what I see and I love about this group.
Yep. Jen says, who was the last Texas QB to have a coming out game against Michigan? True enough. And a little bit of what Rod's talking about. The issue today, without his top 3 receivers from the regular season, Parker Livingston, the only starter back in that third and fourth quarter that he could really utilize, still hits Khalil Lockett on a go route and one-on-one coverage. Pretty throw, really nice catch by the young freshman. Utilized Livingston over the middle a little bit, utilized Jack Indries, by the way, with a touchdown catch. This is it broke a record for him personally, most touchdown catches in a season this year for Jack Indries, the Cal transfer who now must make a decision between returning to Texas and the NFL. We'll hear more about that probably in the coming days. Dylan Angela, I'll say Dylan. How about that? Why was Justice Terry not in the game? We just talked about that and his injury. Justice Terry was not there because he was actually at the game and in New Jersey on the sideline. bruised shoulder, could not go today. But think about who we saw in his place. We saw a lot of Zeno Umeozulu. We even saw some Smith Orogbo in pass rush downs in that fourth quarter. Colton Vossick got quite a few reps today as well. Lance Jackson. What did you think of Zena? That was a hell of a pass rush. And I thought that was a fumble on Bryce Underwood, by the way. The ball was clearly becoming dislodged before he went down. What did you think of Zena, Colin Simmons, and those defensive ends today, Rod?
Well, I would say that Michigan got enough calls in that game. So
yes.
Wanted to actually go against, but I'll just say that I think that for Zena, I like the fact, or I think they like the fact that they can move him around the front a little bit, and don't underestimate his physicality. That in terms of his game, I know he's a natural pass rusher. He's got the frame of a freak pass rusher, but don't underestimate his physicality as a player. And I think that's what his challenge is going to be in the offseason, to be more physical. There's no doubt. You watch him get around the edge, quick first step. He's got really good BJ. He's long and rangy too as a player. He's got good length and wingspan. And the coaches love him because he's been playing in those sub packages for him all season long. So they like Zena, and I saw him in this game move around that front. They like his versatility. I think people underestimate his physicality, and that's the one thing I think he's going to improve on in the offseason. That's going to get him more snaps, ain't no doubt.
He almost looked in that last sack he had that actually I think caused a fumble, but they overturned it. He almost looked like he reached over the tackle.
Exactly.
He has such long arms. That's not something normal humans can do, fellas. The edges of Colin Simmons, just what a disruptor off the edge. Tremendous player for the Texas Longhorns. All right, is it concerning to anybody? This is from Muschamp's corn dog handler. Is it concerning to anybody that on offense it seemed like these young players may have been better options yet not have seen the field? I don't know that. I mean, look, Khalid Lockett had one catch that I thought was a good catch.
Exactly.
I don't know that that's better than Ryan Wingo or Parker Livingston or Emmett Mosley could have given you. So I want to say that. Yeah. But given how Christian Clark handled the blitz, I mean, he handled the blitz really well as a running back. How well he ran, I am going to say I am a little bit more surprised that he did not see more playing time during the year over a Cedric Baxter. But other young players on offense, there weren't really others in there very much. What do you think, Rod?
And I'll also say, Christian Clark's a young player, right? Coming off the injury. Who knows what the extra snaps and extra reps in practice, him being the featured back, what that has done for his development. I'd love for someone to ask the coaches behind the scenes, like, what is his development like? When did he start to trend as a player, right? Because I don't think this is the same player that you saw, the same Christian Clark that was in September. So I think he's like a more patient runner too. There's no doubt about it. He's earned himself at least the benefit of the doubt when the coaches talk about rebuilding this running game, that he should be someone they consider. That I would think so, but we shall see. Offseason is going to be interesting.
Someone asking, well, what about defense? Obviously, as a follow-up to that, Gilbo started over Mack and Roberson. He won that. I think that's hard because I don't think Michigan is a passing team that you give that barometer to. Like you find out about guys like Mack and Roberson more, in my opinion, when they play Diego Pavia.
Yeah,
or somebody that can actually throw. Underwood was a one-read quarterback today. I really think that was it. Somebody asked, what is the injury to Ryan Wingo? I was told it was a toe, kind of like a turf toe type injury. We'll get more on that for you guys as it goes on. Justin Yarbrough, great guy, great game. The young guys looked better as the game went on. Good season, fellas. I think that's the comment that we're getting as much as anything, Rod. Good overall season. And remember when we started this season off, we said, look, I don't know what they're going to look like early, but if they come of age as the season wears on, I think they came of age. But they finished 7-1 down the stretch with the lone loss to Georgia. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good That's a pretty good run for a young team.
No, you had the most accurate prediction. I think you said basically that Oklahoma would kind of be the turning point. This is prior to the season. You said that would be the turning point for the season. You did have them losing to Florida. You had them losing to Ohio State, and then you said they would start to mature, and they really did. Is that road trip? I don't know if you had them winning overtime games against Kentucky. Oh. But you were the most accurate. But I remember you said that's when they'll grow up. They're gonna grow up during that Oklahoma game. And I think you're right. I think right around that time, we saw maturity from this group overall. And I thought, you could potentially, if they had lost this game, say the season was a disappointment. You could, you might be well within your right to say that. And I think you probably would be validated. I don't know if you could say that now. Now there's a different feel about the season concerning how they beat the hell out of Michigan here. And now you look at more outliers in the season and go, well, it seems like that Florida game was kind of your big, outlier. Georgia that's just a matchup thing. Sark can't beat Kirby Smart. That's a different conversation. But Ohio State, we'll see what they do. They might end up being your national champion. They were defending national champion. But then the Florida one was the ones like, yeah, that one didn't make sense. The rest of them kind of make sense. Your losses, and then even the close wins against. That Florida game didn't make any damn sense. And now it does seem like that was an aberration. It's like that they just didn't come to play. First road game, like for that team in the SEC, and they just got slapped in the face and never really responded. So now you can look at it differently in context. They had lost this game, then you'd be like, well, there's another game where they didn't show up, where they, that the team, that they found an excuse to lose the game, or however it ended up happening. But now I think it's a more optimistic view of the whole thing, in my opinion.
I get it. Let's go real quick to this one, and then I want to make a comment. Rich Money Cash. Vince had 372 total yards and 5 TDs versus Michigan the year before the national championship. That was in the Rose Bowl. Arch has 376 with 4 TDs versus Michigan. I didn't realize those stats were that similar, Rich, when we were talking about foreshadowing earlier. That's good stuff. 155 yards on the ground today, by the way, by Arch Manning. And what a play call. I want to go back to this because Sark deserves a hat tip too.
Let's do it.
What a play call when Texas gets the ball back up only 3 or 4 at the time. And he calls the QB keep for Arch Manning for the long 60-yard run. I remember this morning when I was talking with Jerry on the tailgate show, he said, I think they're going to call more planned runs for Arch Manning today. I think there were only 2 or 3 in this game, but boy, were the ones that they had key. Big one there that I think really put some distance
right.
Him and others. All right, question for you, Rod, before we get to the next super chat here, just as we're thinking about it, waiting on CJ Vogel as well as some notes from Sark in the postgame. 10-3 Texas, should they be rated higher in the final poll than 11-2 Texas A&M?
Oh man!
I just want to ask. I gotta ask: should a 10-3 Texas be rated higher than a team that lost its last 2 games?
Oh, and a head-to-head. Oh
yes, and a head-to-head. Should 10-3 Texas beat the A&M team that was hailed as the greatest of their last, 100 years, basically?
Man, y'all want to troll these guys? That would be
I got to ask, right? Is it a good question?
It is a good question. It's a great question, actually, because of the head-to-head.
Yes.
But they went to the playoff and Texas did not, so that'd be one of their nods. They went to the playoff. They didn't win the game.
I can say they scored 3 points. I mean, let's.
Then you look at Texas has a better resume too, because of the top 10 wins too. Oh,
but A&M has 1.
I know. They should probably.
Should Texas also be rated ahead of a 10-3 Oklahoma? Head to head.
Damn, you just blew my mind with those, Bobby.
Texas. Theoretically,
has a better resume. How many top 10 wins Oklahoma got? You know,
Alabama was it. Was it not?
I think you're right. That's what I'm asking. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh man, honestly, I'm for it for Oklahoma. You know what? I'm for it for the Aggies too. That would be a hell of a troll job, though. I really want to say because it does make sense.
I don't think it's trolling. I think it's right.
No, as I say, I thought you were trying to troll like Jerry does, but actually, there's a lot of evidence to back up that claim. It really would be the head-to-head and more top 10 wins. But you didn't go to the playoff. That's the only
double-digit wins over them head-to-head.
The only knock is that you didn't go to the playoff.
Look, they beat one team as good as Michigan all year, and that was Notre Dame early.
That's fair. No, you're right. Actually, no, I'm for it now. I'm more convinced than ever, actually. And I'm not trying to – I don't want Aggies to think I'm trolling them. I'm not in the troll Aggies, troll Sooner thing, but I will say that makes a lot of sense.
The best team since 1930 – best Aggie team since 1939 ain't as good as the third best team in the last 3 years for the Longhorns.
See, that's why y'all want it. Y'all want it for the troll job, okay?
I'm right, though. I don't necessarily want it for the troll job. I enjoy the troll job, a good one, but I'm right. OG Slingblade, the Archduke continues the reign over Michigan. Good stuff there. Here we go. Thomas
Archduke. I like that.
The announcers made this an extremely satisfying win and saying how much they were loving up on Michigan. Rod, you didn't listen to the announcers.
I didn't listen to it.
But, man, they were all over Bryce Underwood like he was the next thing since sliced bread. Okay. And outside of running the ball, I didn't necessarily see it. I didn't see a great pocket presence. I didn't see a great touch on the ball. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I agree with you about that as well. Terry not suited up concerning. We already mentioned that Rocky. He was injured. Todd Lacey, great win leading into 2026. Texas will be a playoff team in 26 and a national title contender if they make the key moves in the portal and get the chemistry. I completely agree. They need both, though, Todd, because remember, they have Ohio State comes calling in Austin the second week of next season. So it's an early test for Texas, and then it is a 9-game SEC slate. Not an 8-game one like this year, but a 9-game. They will literally have 10 pretty strong games. They also play UTSA and Texas State as well next year. I think anything other than a playoff would be very disappointing next year.
No doubt.
With Arch Manning returning. I mean, he's such a good player. And there's very few players that can lift their teams up. I mean, I think Colin Simmons did that for the defense today too.
I agree with you. Yep. I wish they had forced holding calls. Like that was a stat.
Yes.
Yeah, because he'd be one of your national leaders. Like he forces a lot of holding calls. One of them came like at a crucial point in the game to get them behind the chains. But yeah, I'm with you. Those guys are so good. You're right. They can. Colin Simmons can wreck a game at any time, and Arch Manning, even down multiple starting wide receivers, can put the team on his back and go lead you to the promised land. Like, that was amazing to watch him make Khalil Lockett a weapon and then go out there and literally run away from the Michigan defense. That was like Colt McCoy did that against the Aggies, and I remember that. And I was like, Colt McCoy does not have that kind of speed, does he? But in the game, he did. Same thing with Arch. In the game, he's breaking tackles out there like VY and Chris. I'm like, what is going on? He's that good.
He's so strong in his torso that people even on that like 4th and 3 play, somebody came across his chest and he stayed upright and still made that. I thought that was one of the big plays of the game, by the way. Texas decided to go for it on its own 47 with midway through early in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a big play. That eventually led to the Lockett touchdown catch. That one did. All right, this one from Mike Gosnell. Cheers to the OTF fan. Thank you all for keeping this Horns fan in Pennsylvania informed. Great W to end the season. Hey, Mike, thank you. And I want to say this. I met somebody from Western Massachusetts in the Berkshires on yesterday at our party there in downtown Orlando. He says he's surrounded by nobody that knows anything about the Longhorns, but OTF keeps him informed we appreciate you guys as well. Talked to a guy earlier this year from Indiana and parts in between, Laguna Beach even. This is a way for everybody to get together for
Family
sure. So much. Travis wonders, how serious are their wide receiver injuries? Do we now need to spend more portal resources there? The question I have is, I don't think that either of the injuries, Mosley is a lower leg. It's not a knee. So theoretically, that should be okay. Wingo is a foot or a toe at this point. The question is, they had the drops again.
They did.
We thought they needed one receiver. Do they need two?
Yeah.
Do they need two? Fair?
Yes. Fair. Because why take a chance? If you can find the right guys, why take a chance? But I think Arch is good enough where he can uplift that crew, but I'm all about making sure that he has the best available resources around him.
Yep. I agree with that. All right. For those of you guys, we've got over 2,000 people online now, right now with us, or 1,600 or so, just on YouTube alone. Can we go back, Matt, if you mind, going back over the stats real quick for people that came in during the middle here, so they get a chance to see it with us. Arch Manning finishes 21 of 34 for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yet again, rushes for 155 yards on 9 attempts, a long of 60. Looked like he may have pulled a hammy on that almost, or at least one tightened up on him midway through that run. Christian Clark with a big game, 105 yards rushing on 20 carries. Really a solid game from the young man in his first start ever at Texas from Arizona, Phoenix area. Congratulations to him. Michael Terry saw some action, his first action at running back. Perhaps most interesting, we did not see true freshman James Simon in this game, and we thought we might see a little bit of him. We did not. Clark, I think, because of his pass protection, they were confident in it. He showed that he could do it. Receiving, Emmett Mosley, who went out early in that game, finished with 5 for 51. Jack Indries, I can't see that for sure. Is that 5 for 35?
5 for 35.
Plus 1 TD. Ryan Wingo, 4 for 64. Parker Livingston, 3 for 25. Khalid Lockett, 2 for 35, including that big touchdown. Nick Townsend with a little waggle catch on a waggle. Dalen McCutcheon, 1 for 4 as well. The Texas defense, by the way, pretty strong on the day. Held, if you notice this, Rod, pretty impressive. They held Michigan to 3 of 12 on third downs, but Michigan was 4 of 5, I believe, on fourth down. You look at these numbers right here. Pretty impressive stuff. Texas finishes with 3 sacks. Anthony Smith leads the team with 9 total tackles, including 2 interceptions, as well as a tackle for loss and a quarterback hurry. Colin Simmons had 2 tackles for loss, as well as a sack. Bo Barnes had a sack. Really good play out in the open space. The young linebacker seen first extensive time as well. All in all, Texas finishes winning 41-27. Anything catch your eye as we went down those stats, Rod, that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I think that ultimately for the defense, I like that so many guys were able to step up and contribute. Zeno with a sack. Hadn't seen enough of him. Wardell Mack ended up getting an interception. Anthony Smith ended up getting 2 interceptions. I just think ultimately for him, for Anthony Smith, this is a big game. We were talking a lot about how they need to go after a linebacker in the portal. And they probably still do, but maybe for the coaches, they're rethinking about the depth at linebacker and the contribution that Anthony Smith can make. And not they weren't before this, but now looking at how he sees the opportunity. And I think you got to admire guys who did seize this opportunity and look at their future with the team and what role they can play, because it ended up mattering to those guys. In that those extra snaps they got, whether Rowan Roberson with the extra snaps he got, or Anthony Smith we're talking about. I think you should give them a benefit of the doubt when you're talking about roster construction going forward. I know they still got decisions to make and all that before January 2nd, but it means a lot to me, in my opinion, that those guys were able to maximize that moment.
All right. Before we get back to y'all's questions, we have this from Texas coach Steve Sarkisian in the Cheez-It Bowl postgame.
Okay. I'm really proud of our football team. were just talking in the locker room about the life of a competitor. And the life of a competitor isn't easy. And there's ups and downs, there's adversity, there's personal adversity, there's team adversity. And there's plenty of guys in that locker room that had personal adversity this year throughout their career. This team had its own adversity this season. But the real, true, unique competitors rise up to every challenge that they're faced with. And that's what this team did today. We played without 9 starters today. We played with over 20 scholarship players not suited up for practice. And it created great opportunities. And, you know, I think about the great game Arch had. I think about the amazing game that Ty Anthony had. But I also think about Christian Clark, a guy who probably didn't get as many carries as he would have liked this season for him to show up the way that he did today. I think about Wardell Mack stepping in and playing star, but because of all the injuries and guys opting out in the secondary, has to go in at corner and get an interception. I think about Khalid Lockett going into the game, making a huge touchdown catch at a critical moment in the ball game. And so that's the culture that we have. When people want to ask about what's so unique about our culture, that group is so connected. And it's so full of the unique competitive spirit that I'm just really proud of these guys, and I'm proud to be their coach, and I'm thankful that I got the opportunity to coach them this season. But it also gives me a lot of hope into what 2026 is going to look like, because we've got a really good football team. We've got some more players that are going to join these guys that are going to be poised for a heck of a journey next year. But this is a great way to end this season. I'm very, very proud of our team.
Talks about resiliency in the face of obstacles, all those starters, and then you don't even mention the 2 that got lost during the middle of the game, and Emmett Mosley, as well as Ryan Wingo. Sark, I think, on point about resiliency and the character and culture that he's built in Austin.
Yeah, but talking about the competitive nature, right? I'm recruiting competitive spirits. I'm recruiting guys that just love to compete no matter what. And that's what he's talking about, those guys. And trust me, the NFL is a hard, it's a hard level because you don't get a lot of opportunity. Most guys don't get a lot of opportunities to shine. And when you do get those few snaps in practice or in a preseason game, whatever, you better make something happen. You better go make a play and stand out, or you'll end up like the rest of the Jags, right? Just a guy. By the way, Robbie was a Jag. And that's how you end up staying on the roster, making plays, standing out. And for those few snaps that he's talking about, the Khalid Lockett or the Wardell Mack and, you know, these kind of guys, when they get those extra snaps, Christian Clark, and then they maximize that opportunity, not only shows their competitive spirit, that's what you recruited, but also shows you guys that can rise to the moment. And that's what football is about. Like, you don't get a lot of opportunities to make plays. You only get a few. How many targets in the game as a corner get? 3, 4? You know what I mean? You don't get many, and you better go make a play. Otherwise, you know, it's gonna be like, oh man, you let the offense win. Or so I think that's what Sark's so proud of. That's what he's talking about the competitive spirit, that these guys stepped up and when they needed to make a play, they were dependable. They were trustworthy. The guys went out there and actually made the plays, and they weren't always guys that Texas had depended on all season long. They just next man up philosophy.
Yeah, and you think about a guy like Warren Roberson,
Exactly.
who saw his most time he's probably seen all year and played really well. All right, we'll get back to the questions here real quick before we get to CJ, hopefully. Rocky Poor says, things that impressed me. Ty Anthony Smith's interception, yes. Clark flat pass blocking, yes. McDonald hitting, yes. Happy New Year's, and can't wait to see what OTF 2026 will be. Thank you very much, Rocky. We can't wait. We have some new things coming. Believe it or not, we're going to keep trying to improve this sucker as we go along, just like I think Steve Sarkisian's going to try to keep improving your Texas Longhorns. I will say this. Those 3 things you just mentioned, along with Arch Manning, are probably where Texas wins this football game today. Happy New Year, OTF family. D-Money says, great win to the end of the season, and Arch is him. We need to have a serious talk about Coach Banks, though. You know, I think that I will say this. I felt like they were a little hard-headed once Andrew Marsh started having good returns.
Why you kept kicking to him?
The other guy early enough. Like I understand if one guy gets you one time, maybe twice, but you don't just keep tempting fate like that. And it's so funny because for those of you that were around in the 2004 Rose Bowl against Michigan, every time Mac Brown kicked to Steve Breston,
yep.
I was like, hold on to your hats. I felt like I was watching a repeat. And for the guys that are our age, Rod, and older will understand. I mean, it was a circus. Well, it's the same thing. And I was like, finally, in the fourth quarter, they said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And I was like, no, thank you. Amen. Please. More of that.
I agree.
One thing we broke some news earlier today. It's not really breaking news because I did not put the name out there of who it is. But it's this from Juan Garza. It says that the new safeties coach, NFL or college. I'm not going to answer anything about it other than that's expected to be announced in the next 2 or 3 days. But I think it's going to be a great hire. I don't want to, I'm kind of bound by some parameters of what I agreed to say and not say, et cetera. But I think it's going to be really, really good.
Nice.
For Texas. Okay. I'll just add that. All right. This one from Nick. Oh, I'll just say Nick. How about that? Rod, how about that testicular fortitude when the game got chippy? And it was chippy, wasn't it? Maybe unusually so for a bowl game. The young guys and think Mac could, and do you think Wardell Mack could be a guy for next year? Some people have already got him going into the portal, though. But he obviously played today.
They love how versatile he is. Remember, Sarkisian brought it up, and that cut we talked about is a guy that was playing star for you, then in emergency situations, move him out to corner, ends up getting a pick for you. It's hard for me to really determine because now you got another added factor with Muschamp now being the new DC. So he's got a preference, I'm sure, on what type of DBs he likes. Physical, I can tell you that. He wants physical guys out there. So Warren Robertson definitely, I'm sure, turned Muschamp's head a couple of times in the game. But, so I'm not sure about the Wardell Mack thing. But I think he fits any secondary because he's versatile. So you can plug him in a lot of different places. There's no doubt I do recognize when the game got chippy, though. Think about it. That I believe that Warren Robertson hit came exactly right around that time where he basically kind of knocked himself and the other player out.
Yeah.
It was right when they started getting chippy, Bobby. It was right when they started talking trash. It was like multiple different occurrences of guys talking trash and the refs starting to recognize it. And I almost say Warren Robertson fed off that. It was like that kind of led to that hit. Like I think he was really amped up about it. So I love the way this team responded because I thought they was hitting. Go look at, there's a point in the game you see Grayson Littleton's head, like his helmet, and it's got a big yellow smudge on it. Like it's all just yellow. Like he literally took the paint off some Michigan guy's helmet when he hit him. Like Texas was hitting out there. They didn't always wrap up like they should have or run their feet like they should have. Oh, but the intensity to go and hit somebody, that was there. Oh, it was there. They was trying to hit.
You mentioned Grayson Littleton. His family was there last night at the party. Drove over from Tampa. We had Jack Endry's family was there. Cade Phillips' mom and dad. Cade Phillips, a great story. I got to say this, and this is, I know, total sidebar from what our normal conversation is here. But Cade Phillips' mom and dad met in 9th grade at A-Leaf Hastings High School. How about that?
What? High school sweethearts?
Yes. High school sweethearts. I learned that. But a lot of fun. We had a bunch of Jordan Washington's mom and dad were celebrating their 21st anniversary yesterday as well.
Oh, beautiful.
Good guys. And if I'm missing a couple of parents, I apologize for that stopped by to the party as well. This one from 57 Cal. Underwood started bumping them gums, and the defense turned up the heat on him. You may be a little right to Rod's point because that's when it started. Brian P., thank you very much for the super chat as well. Rod, why do you continue to disrespect J-Lo? I don't even know what that I don't even know what that means.
The big butts.
Oh.
I should add her to my big butts. You know what? You are right, and I will. I'm writing that down. I will add her to the big butts. You're correct. Yes.
All right. Cinco de Mayo. We need to maximize Arch in 2026. Amen, Rob. Thanks for a great year, OTF. Appreciate you guys. You agree with him? I mean, isn't that you come out of this game, you came out of A&M thinking, man, he could be a little something that he doesn't just have the ability, he has some moxie. You come out of this game and you go, ooh, he's not only got a high ceiling, he's got a will to win. and they can score a lot of points. That starts to get him in rarefied air, and I think that's why Cinco de Mayor is right. I think that Texas needs to maximize Arch in 2026. All in for 2026, Rod.
Yeah, that's why I can't. The Cam Coleman conversation, I am not going to dismiss it because I'm thinking about value and, you don't want to overpay for guys. Arch is special. It looks like he's got the it quality and he checks all the boxes. And I can totally understand let's not take any chances. Let's go get the best guy available. If we can do it for Arch, do it. So I get that, because right now, that player right now that we saw tonight, he is as good as everybody hyped him up to be. And they hyped him up to be really good. Like Heisman first round, number 1 overall pick, good.
I'd say Michigan defense, Ohio State didn't do that much with him. Just about a month ago. Dim Horns, is Texas looking at the 2 Pitt linebackers, Biles and Lewis? Both have said they will go in the portal. Biles is a 2-time first-team All-ACC linebacker at Pitt. I was talking to someone today. I believe he's most likely headed to Ohio State. I do not know about Lewis at this point. This one is from Steven Rojas. Good day to be cheesy. Nice shower, Bobby. Thank you, Steven. My wife made sure we had some Cheez-Its in the house for that one. Equin says, we don't play UGA in 26. This is our chance, boys. That's true. They do go to LSU, most likely for a night game. They go to Tennessee. Texas got a hell of a schedule, 2026. OTF chatters, the New Year's resolution needs to be more positivity. That's an OG Slingbait. Man, I'm pretty positive. I just get worried around game time. That's my bugaboo. Travis Bingham, Lockett is a ridiculous talent. Ryan Williams type body type and skill with Wingo and Mosley. Livingston, I don't think we need to add a wide receiver at $2 million. Guys, let's think about, you don't know what that number is, but I will say this, Lockett is a good talent. I don't know about ridiculous. I don't know how fast he is. I would just say this. I think they need a receiver because I think they need a true 1-1. I mean, now Wingo could end up there, but hands has been an issue. Mosley, injuries have been an issue. Livingston dropped one today, not necessarily a number 1 category receiver.
No.
What do you think, Rod?
Yep. I
will tell you, I like Wingo. I like the combo of Wingo, Mosley, and Livingston a lot. So I'm not talking, but if you could go get a guy the caliber of Cam Coleman, he's maybe in a little bit different category there. Thank you, Q-Dog, for the super chat there. Appreciate it very much. Rodney McQueen says, Arch channeled his own inner Sam Ehlinger at the Sugar Bowl that win over Georgia. Perhaps so. I think that, the difference maybe is just, Sam made a lot of ballsy, excuse my language there.
Good.
Ballsy, gutty plays in that game.
Yeah.
Arch Manning made those, and he made some wow plays. That's what Arch Manning brings, in my opinion. That's what Vince Young brought. That's what Colt McCoy brought. It wasn't just the gutty plays. It wasn't just putting everything on the line. It was also putting what I would call Rod, some wow plays mixed in. Some things that other guys just couldn't do. You agree with that being maybe the single difference between what Arch did today and some others you've seen?
I like that description. I think what reminds people of the Sam Ehlinger is that the off-schedule second reaction scrambling element. Sam was the best scrambling quarterback post Vince Young for Texas. He was really good at it. And Colt wasn't bad either, by the way. So I ain't trying to hate on Colt, but Sam did it all the time, and he did it mostly. I think he distrusted his offensive line. That's a different conversation for a different day, but he would make a lot of plays like that off schedule and scrambling. And Arch does that too. Arch is really good at, I think, honestly, if I had to rank him, I think he'd be top 5 in the country among quarterbacks in scrambling ability, whether it be as a runner or in a scramble drill as a passer. Like, I think he's that good.
All right, welcome in to CJ Vogel. Before we talk to CJ real quick, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor one last time. Flight, the next generation of light beer with only 95 calories. It's an easy drinking upscale light beer designed to elevate your taste buds with just 2.6 carbs per serving. Flight is an easy to drink beer with a clean, crisp taste. Try Flight from Yingling, and thanks to the fine folks at Flight and our friends over at Faust Distributing for their sponsorship of On Texas Football. Third year being the post-game sponsor of On Texas Football. Thank you to both Flight and the Faust family. Hey, guys, CJ, you were there at the game this afternoon. Your takeaways, obviously, big one from Arch Manning, big game for Ty Anthony Smith. Your thoughts, my man?
Yeah, definitely. And if you hear any background noise, I still got a big concert going on below me, so bear with me just a little bit. But no, I think coming in, we sat here and we talked all week. We said we want to see what these young guys can do, what some of these guys who may have been buried on the depth chart for quite a bit, what can they do if, they get their opportunity? Let me fix my collar here. That's not good. But we got to see that tonight, and that was exciting, right? And, of course, the guys that we know that make plays and have made plays on this team before, they did that again tonight. You mentioned Arch Manning earlier. Colin Simmons had a sack immediately. Jelani McDonald, I thought, was going to put a couple kids in the hospital tonight with the way that he was flying around. But more than that, it was great to see Bo Barnes, right? It was great to see Christian Clark, Wardell Mack in an opportunity to play out wide after a guy or two gets dinged up, comes away with an interception. How about Khalid Lockett, man? I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So that's cool. And we just heard from Steve Sarkisian in his press conference. And, I thought there was a great question asked. And it was basically, with what we've seen in bowl season, is it even fair to basically give it its due, right? Because that was a hell of a game, right? USC, TCU last night, hell of a game. There's still a lot of fight in these games across the country. And he said, look, I think you have to reframe how you look at these bowl games, right? Down 9 starters, down 20 players, only 65 made the trip. And yet you see these young guys make plays. And so for Sark, it's all about kind of pushing the narrative and the ball down the road towards the next season and getting a glimpse of that tonight. And I have to sit here and tell you, yeah, there's plenty that Texas can improve on. We know that. There's plenty of things that lingered week to week to week, penalties that we can talk about. But point being, we saw a lot of positives when it comes to what this next group of Longhorns can do. And that tonight, of course, is far and away my biggest takeaway.
You mentioned those guys stepping up. Christian Clark was one that Sark mentioned immediately. What a job by him today. Not just running the football, CJ, but also in pass protection. Just a phenomenal job from a young man that had not seen much action to this point at Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for young running backs, it's hard to sit there and say, I'm going to have to go block and willingly put my face into the chest of a guy that's probably 50 or maybe even 100 pounds heavier than you at times. And that's a lot of it, is the want to. It's right. Blocking is tough, right? But it's the mental side of things where for young guys, the earlier that you accept, hey, I got to put my body on the line here, the easier it is to get to a level where you're a plus at it. I thought that was tremendous tonight from Christian Clark, who, by the way, we got to talk to him for the first time this year in the postgame. He said, look, I had my opportunity. I wanted to make the most of it, and I felt like I did that tonight. I don't disagree. I also asked him about Jabbar Jalouk. And this was a fun question as well, because Colin Simmons was sitting there and he chimed in. But Christian Clark said about Jalouk, he said, look, I don't know how old he is, but he's got that same kind of energy and charisma as we do. And so I love that about Jalouk, was basically what Christian Clark was saying. And then Colin Simmons goes, man, he let me hear it right away. From day one, he was talking to me. And I can only assume that was about Jalouk being at Florida and obviously coming over with the win under his belt. But it sounds like right now he's hitting the floor running with his new team here in Austin.
Hey, CJ, did they talk about this? Sark talk about the Ty Anthony Smith game, getting those 2 interceptions, considering the losses at linebacker, a lot of concern, a lot of talk at linebacker. I even thought that's where Michigan was going to target the linebacker position, second level of the defense, considering how vulnerable Texas was there. But he really did show up for Texas. What were your thoughts about Ty Anthony Smith's performance, and did they say anything in the postgame about it?
My goodness, he was unbelievable tonight. I should have mentioned him right away whenever I hopped on, but Man, what a game. I mean, that 3-play sequence of interception, 60-yard touchdown, interception, that's what it looks like when your best players make big plays. I thought it was really interesting, too. Sarkisian said towards the back end of the season, Anthony Smith was probably the leader of that linebacking room. And
wow,
you hear that and you say, wait a minute, are you sure? And he kind of went on and he said, look, this is a guy that leads by example. He leads every single day that he steps foot into the facility with the way that he carries himself and goes about practice. And evidently tonight we saw that, right? 2 interceptions. He was flying around the football. I thought there were 2 moments where both he and Bo Barnes chased down Bryce Underwood, and you sat there and said, whoa. That was something. So that's, fantastic to hear. And we heard from Ty Anthony as well in the postgame just saying, as well as I played today, it takes my leadership. My leadership has to continue to take that step. And so as much as, we're sitting here praising him for it, he said, look, I have to be better going into next year as well.
And it makes sense, too, when he said later in the year he stepped into that leadership role because Anthony Hill missed the last 2 games.
Correct.
Right? And then Smith missed the first half of the A&M game and then took over for Leonga Lafau in the second half and was the guy there. I think ended up having 8 or 9 tackles against the Aggies. CJ, other questions for you. Now we go into a situation where it's portal time. It really is. That's where we're going from here. Opens on January 2nd. I heard Sark in his post-game press conference mention, hey, we've got the nucleus of a really good group. And he looked to Ty Anthony, looked to Arch when he said it. And we've got to find some guys to add to this. You get a sense that that's the thought being around those guys in the locker room earlier today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think anything really encapsulated that more than we got to hear from Kalik Lockett for the first time. And, Kalik, first time speaking with the media, you sit there and maybe you get a little nervous, right? And Colin Simmons sitting right next to him and say, hey, man, take it easy. You got this, go after it, right? Tell them how you feel, basically. And it was great to see, right? Because, again, these are the guys that have spent forever with each other, right? They don't know college football without one another. And for Kalik Lockett coming in, making a play like that, and really one of his most impactful moments of the season, I think that's fantastic. But, yeah, no, Bobby, I actually asked Sark. I said, hey, Texas has won 10 wins 3 straight seasons for the first time since 2009. So do you like where your program is, and how do you continue that? And he goes, the big thing for me and the big thing for this program is, look, hey, immediately after the portal, after all of our freshmen get on campus, we have to get this culture. We have to get this locker room right because it's brand new, right? There's a lot of turnover this year. Already 20 players aren't going to be back, and there's going to be plenty of more, right? Plenty of offensive linemen, plenty of guys who, hey, still portal decisions to come. So immediately starting to look ahead and say, this was a good start. We have a good understanding of what the talent is on this team. Now it's all about going out and making sure that the camaraderie and that leadership, as we talked about, is there to get going in winter conditioning.
CJ, final thoughts for you for this game, and we'll talk again tomorrow with you as well. But your final thoughts from being there in Orlando.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, wrap it up with this. Winning 10 games in a season, especially SEC, is valuable, right? There's something to that. Again, not making the college football playoff, it hurt, right? That's not great. Point is, there's reason to think that this team and staff and players can build and learn from this season and ultimately get back to where they want to be. We heard, again, from Colin, from Arch, Jelani McDonald was down there, Ty Anthony Smith, who is going to be a huge piece of this team next year as well. And all the messages, yeah, hey, we're having fun, we're learning, we're getting better. But now we're ready to get to 2026. And that gets me excited knowing that, to what we've been saying over the last month or so, Bobby, when you look at what Texas and here and whatever, when it comes to what Texas could add out of the portal, you get excited for what next year will be, knowing that this team is already talented.
CJ, you do a great job joining us on the post-game show each and every week this year. We appreciate it very much. The on-site aspect cannot be said enough. You got your Cheez-It hat.
There you go.
Got to be upside down. Turn it around. Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
Boom.
Thank you, CJ. You have a good one, buddy. Take care of yourself, man.
Guys. Happy New Year.
Thanks, CJ. Happy New Year, brother. Good job.
All right, hey, this one real quick for you, Rod. This going back to Kozer, with how Christian Clark played, is there a need for only one running back in the portal? I don't think so, man, because you have 2 coming in, and Derek Cooper and Jet Walker, you don't know if somebody else is going to go in the portal, Gozer. So they may not. There may be other guys in there. Q-Dog, what do y'all think Muschamp was saying in the game? I think he's saying, I really like Anthony Smith. I really like the pass rush of Zena Zulu and Colin Simmons. And I really like how Jelani McDonald knocks the ever-living you-know-what out of people.
Yep.
When he comes up.
All of those things. Yep. I agree with that 100%. And Ron Roberson, maybe some love for Roberson too.
Yeah, there you go. Daryl Rediker says, how do you see this running back now if they all stay? Does Texas take two in the portal? Did Clark change the math? I don't know that he changed the math. I just don't know. Because did he run the ball inside well? I think he had some I think he showed some patience maybe that other running backs didn't.
He did.
But I still don't know if he's that ideal inside runner. We'll see. He may be the outside runner, though, in fairness, because he did show the willingness to step up and hit the hole. When he decided to go, he went. Tyler Spate says, hey, Rod, based off what you saw during the game, who do you think will have an immediate impact in the secondary next season from the young guys? Let's take Jelani McDonald out of it, Rod.
Okay.
And throw all the other guys into the mix when you talk about this one, if you don't mind.
Well, obviously, you're talking about young guys. Cade Phillips and Grayson Wilson, young guys. I mean, they played, so those guys are projected starters in the secondary for you. Man, if I'm a projector, I would love to say Jonah Williams. I think every time I do, I want to say Jonah Williams, but I don't know if there's enough on his side, going to be enough time spent in football and commitment to it for him to make an impact. But you're just talking about raw skills. I mean, he's upsized as high as anybody in the secondary. But like I said, I don't know if you'll get the total focus that he needs to be a great player in football because he's awesome in two sports and he's splitting his time. But somebody that I think, it's interesting. Warren Roberson, I'm not going to say I'd given up on Warren Roberson, but didn't necessarily think Warren Roberson could have an impact on defensively. It turns out he may be a better defensive player than a special teams player. But I think your main guys in the secondary, it's going to be built around. You take Jelani McDonald out of it. It's going to be built around Cade Phillips. I think Kobe Black's still going to be a big part of your secondary. I know he got hurt today. And I think Grayson Wilson. I think that's where they start. But they want, I believe, another veteran in the secondary somehow because they have so much youth. And Jelani McDonald's right now your only real veteran piece in the secondary. I think they want to go get a proven starter at the power 4 level, like somebody who started, at least a season, maybe a multi-year starter for you. I believe that would be my goal if I was trying to reinforce, the secondary via the portal, at least one.
I would add Xavier Filsaime to that. By the way, I think he's going to be a guy that plays for him. King Tendies, in the words of Rod B, #Arch is the play. Happy New Year and hook 'em. That is the truth. That's what it felt like in that fourth quarter. Arch is the play. What are y'all going to run? I don't know, but it's going to involve Arch.
No, we were. I think it was the drive right when they had. So it was like 10 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they had just taken the lead. And I was like, I don't know what Sark is going to call. Is he going to pick players or plays, that kind of thing? And then that fourth down came up. What was the fourth? It was like 4th and 2, something like that. And I was like, you got to give it to Arch. It has literally, you can tell Arch drops back, and then he doesn't see anybody open, and he just takes it to start scrambling like, Arch is the play. Arch is the play. And literally the Arch was the play. Like, Arch is the play, guys. Like, put it on a t-shirt, I guess, but it came natural. Sorry, thinking the same thing.
Katie Riley says, lots of big hits for both teams, but did it seem like Michigan hadn't been hit by anyone before today? They certainly got Chippy. I think I was interesting. I thought Michigan ran the ball well consistently on Texas. They averaged 5+ yards a carry. But when Texas got them behind the chains, it's like I said, I felt like Bryce Underwood became a one-read quarterback. And if you take that one read around him, whether it was Colin Simmons, Zena, Umeozulu, or Lance Jackson or one of those guys, Hero Canoe, Alex January. Somebody was putting some pressure on somebody that way, or even Ty Anthony Smith on a blitz.
Can I just say this? I do think Texas has been challenged. Their physicality has been challenged. Stevie Lee dropped a nice little nugget on us that Jaluk, that he told the team that, kind of one of the reasons that Florida thought they could beat him was that didn't think they were physical enough. They're not physical enough to beat us. We know Kirby Smart called out Texas physicality. I think one of the things that Texas had probably emphasized was like physicality. Because like I said, they didn't wrap up all the time. They didn't run their feet. It wasn't picture perfect tackling, but they brought the initial was there.
Yeah.
They weren't shying away from just bringing the hammer, which I think I want to say maybe that's been challenged because it was one of their more physical games. Now you do have to match physicality. It's Michigan. They want to play hardball ball. They want to play bully ball. So you have to match that. So maybe that was the motto. Like, hey, we got to match physicality. But I thought Texas did a good job coming out physical. Even, quarterback, run game, all that kind of, the way Texas ran the ball, I thought they ran in a physical way.
All right, this one from Kyler. I don't see a question attached. We'll try to get to it if you haven't. KD35, talk about trolling. We talked a little bit about something else, but how's Desmond Howard feeling? Happy New Year's, OTF.
That's crazy.
Taking out the trash, thinking about
in his own school. Like, that was crazy. Like, what? That was the irony of that.
Yeah.
He tried to blow up everybody else's business and end up coming right back home to roost.
Yes, absolutely. RJ Yarbrough, hell of a way to end this season. Archibald is him. I agree. Heck of a game for Arch. LFG from Jay Forrester. 10-3 season. Arch is it. And we got some good evidence that we will play at a high level next year. I agree. It was like it was almost like, did what we see against A&M, can we prove that? Or was that just a one game in and out? Arch now has had, 3 really good games in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, A&M, and now versus Michigan. This was the best send-off into 2026 that I can imagine. Bobby, Rod, thoughts on best player not named Manning, Simmons, Ty Anthony Smith that impressed you? I would probably say Jelani McDonald, or for me, maybe Trevor Gooseby. I mean, Trevor Gooseby sick coming in today, like had some flu-like symptoms. He was almost not going to go. So who was the player that you would say, thoughts on best player not named Manning, Simmons, or Ty Anthony Smith today, Rod?
Best player in the game? Like in the game. I mean, like I said, Christian Clark played a hell of a game. Like, it's hard not to recognize the young man and what kind of game he played. I mean, I thought he did really well. And I'm not saying that means that they don't need to go get multiple backs in the portal. I'm just talking about the guys that took advantage of the opportunity. I thought he did well. And you know what? We don't talk about them as individuals, but you just brought up one of them, Bobby. The O-line. So what they have? 0 sacks. So 0 sacks in the game, right? For Michigan. And then you ran the ball really well. So let me get this straight. You ran the ball well versus Michigan, Ohio State, A&M, Oklahoma, basically. And then versus other teams, you just had this really in Mississippi State, Kentucky, of course, Georgia. Georgia's in a different category altogether. You just can't figure out Georgia. That's for a different conversation. But it's so strange that your run game, you brought your run game, the best performances in the run game, versus some of the best defenses. It's almost like you have to be psyched out to win the physicality battle against your rivals and Ohio State. It's very strange because to struggle versus Mississippi State and Kentucky in the run game, it's very weird to me. And UTEP, I should say, whatever it is.
Jay Forrester, thank you very much for the very gracious super chat. That was very nice of you. Appreciate you. Kyler says, grateful for OTF. Watch most of your videos daily. Thanks, Kyler. We appreciate you too much as well. Equin says, it's been infinity days since Michigan beat Texas. Longhorns now 3-0 against the Wolverines lifetime. Wow. That's going to hurt some Michigan fans that you talk to around the country. MCCLX Key. Mid-game text from my buddy from Michigan. Diabetic QB, Arch at QB, Problem solved. Exciting game. Big result. Poggy was right. Texas should have made the college football playoff as well. This one, again, Rod, get your helmet out. Says, thanks for the tireless day in, day out coverage of the good guys. Found myself searching for your channel whenever I needed my Longhorn fix. Excited for next year with Arch, Muschamp, and attacking the portal. Greetings from Auburn, Alabama. Man, there might be a kid from Auburn, Alabama that wants to transfer to Texas. Just saying that, putting that out there. Joe, as a Texas fan living in Kansas, I'm so thankful for OTF keeping me entertained and informed. Great win today and a good season. Now on to Texas baseball. What about Texas basketball?
Come on.
The women's basketball team right now is crazy good. Now that should be a fun spring. I'm on to the portal though. I got to be honest. The next 14 days for me and this channel is going to be crazy in my opinion. That's my expectation. Spence, it's 7-17 and OU still sucks. I love portal profile content. What RBs do you guys like that are currently in the portal, excluding Baugh? He's not in the portal yet, guys. Unless something happened in the last hour. Thank y'all for everything this season. Have an incredible New Year's Eve. Is there any running back in the portal you like, Rod, that you're aware of?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know they haven't talked too much about him, but the Cam Cook kid, other than Jaden Ball's been really impressed with it out of Jacksonville State. He's got a tied to Central Texas too.
Yeah, he's from Stony Point, Round Rock.
Yeah, I like him, but it does seem like Jaden Ball's, seems like with the connection with Jaluk that he's the all-in guy. I'm not gonna say it would be a disappointment if they didn't get him. But right now it seems like Texas should have the inside track and be the front runner for Jaden Baugh. I don't think that's unrealistic, even though he might be top 2 running backs in the portal, or expected to be in the portal, I should say.
Give you a couple names. The Utah running back, I think he's going in the portal. I think the Louisville running back is going in the portal, as said he would.
Oh yeah, he's good. I like him too.
There's another running back that has ties to Central Texas. He has not announced he's in the portal. He's just playing today for Vanderbilt. Cedric Alexander. You mentioned Cam Cook at Stony Point. Cedric Alexander's from LBJ. I'm not saying that Cedric Alexander's going to the portal. I'm just giving you some data on that. Obviously, the running back from Ole Miss. A lot of people suspect he'll go in the portal. If he does, he immediately becomes one of the top guys available as well. All right. Let's keep going here. Daryl Redeker says over and under 2.5 booms before Sunday's live stream, Bobby. I'm going to go under, although I will say this. I think Texas could have as many as 6 visitors beginning no later than January 3rd when it comes to recruiting. That'll give you some a note to stew on a little bit there, Daryl. Muschamp says, do you think Sharon Moore got the game broadcast? I don't know. I don't know where Sharon Moore currently is.
He's not concerned.
That's a different level of trolling. I'm just trying to troll the Aggies and the Sooners. And I do have this question. Should Texas and a 10-3 Texas be rated ahead of a 10-3 OU and an 11-2 Texas A&M?
It's a sound argument.
I think they should. Hey, Bobby and Rod, this from Terrence. Do you think Arch Manning showed why he's going to be a problem next season? Hell yes. He is a problem. Because you cannot, dude, if you don't spy Arch Manning, you're not smart. You're not a smart defensive coordinator at this point.
Exactly.
You agree with that now? I mean, you're going to have to spy Arch Manning.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's averaging basically 10 yards per play on scramble plays, scramble drill, and scrambles versus power 4 teams. So, remember, Kirby Smart even brought that up. Kirby Smart said specifically, yeah, we ain't going to let him do that. And how many scrambles did he have versus Georgia? Kirby's like, we locking that down. Because that ultimately is, like I said, it's basically a compliment to the defensive coordinator when he says, your defensive call was so good, the quarterback does not believe he has any option to throw the football on this play. So he's going to scramble, all right, and keep the play alive, which is another, I don't know, you get into 4 to 5 seconds of a play here, which is wearing out your defense. And then even if you defend the scramble drill correctly, you still have to defend him deciding to tuck the ball and run, one of the best athletes on the field. And then you get into 4 to 5, 6 seconds of defending one play, defending essentially 3 plays in one. That's the reason I call it the best cheat code in football. And he may be one of the best at executing that cheat code in college football. So you got to put a spy on him, which should open up one-on-one coverage matchups and passing windows in the passing game too. So I'm with you on that, Bobby. Like I don't know how you game plan and not spy that dude at this point with all the film you have. It's crazy.
Edmund Lee says, I'm an arch believer tonight after that one. We agree. I agree with Edmund. OTF, the best Texas family. Keep up the great intel. I expect 260K to start spring practice. Hook 'em horns. We're over 250 now. Thank you very much, Edmund, for the super chat and you guys that are out there. Hey, also look at this. Kozer says Miami. Guys, Miami. And look at this. Miami. Kyler says Miami whooping Ohio State. I just checked. It's 14-0. Miami drove the length of the field for a touchdown and then had a interception return for a touchdown to go up 14-0 midway through the second quarter, I believe. Was Justin Terry also sick? He could have been, but I didn't hear that. I heard it was an injured shoulder today. That's what I heard from you guys. All right. That is the entire list of Super Chats. Thank you all so much. Again, Cheez-Its. Texas the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, 41-27. To mention what others said, Texas now 3-0 over the Michigan Wolverines in history. Texas goes into the offseason. Portal importance, retention importance. How are they going to build this team around guys like Colin Simmons, Jelani McDonald, and Arch Manning? Be interesting to watch it transpire. We'll have that news for you and more here. We'll have more coverage for you tomorrow morning as well. Rod, final thoughts on this final season game here with the Longhorns.
Can I ask you something? When do we expect Trevor Gooseby to make his announcement?
Ooh, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I'm already thinking about it. Hold up.
Yeah, no, that's a great question because it's a premium position, right? That if they don't get him or they don't keep him, it's going to be a big question mark. Rod, I think that he's expected to make the decision within a week or two. There's no hurry here, but the last I heard, it was trending very well.
Okay.
So no promises though. People want to make promises in this stuff, and I it's hard to do that these days.
Yeah, watching Miami. One thing they can brag about is they got the trenches. That's one thing they did right. O-line and D-line, O-line trenches. So it's Gooseby is what my top concern. But just the last comment on the game was, I am very proud of the Texas football team right now. Really proud of the maturity in the game, their fight in this game, and the way they closed it out. I mean, they did not, once they got on top of Michigan, they put the foot on the throat of Michigan. It didn't left no doubt at all. So I'm proud of this group. I think the season ultimately, it didn't work out the way we thought. Thought this was a playoff team. And I still think they could have went to the playoffs and potentially won a game in the playoffs. But I think their immaturity came back to bite them, at like a one time, which was that Florida game. And ultimately they paid the price for it. That could ultimately for guys be it could be the driving force of motivation for 2026. Just so just like VY felt slighted by not getting the Heisman, and that the 04 season, that Texas, it really did kind of feed that 05 season because it ended with them having a big win over Michigan and gaining a lot of confidence as a group. I think it feels very similar with this crew, but we shall see. Arch, though, is as good as advertised. That's what I really feel good about, and I'll go to sleep as a Longhorn fan with a smile on my face because I do believe he is as good as advertised. And so you're going to always have a chance now with him being that good.
Not only is good, he puts it out there. That's a rare combo.
Mm-hmm.
He leads he ends that game walking hobbled off the field.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he was not healthy. But he played through it. Texas won 41-27. Big year, good year, third consecutive 10-win season as well. That's going to do it for this post-game show. We'll have more tomorrow. Enjoy your New Year's Eve. Thank you, Edmund, for your super chat as we head out the door here. Last show of 2025. It's about a Texas Longhorn victory. Same as we rung in the new year, by the way, with the
Nice.
win over Arizona State. You guys have a good one. Hook 'em Horns. It's been pretty good 2025. Thank you.
Welcome. Happy New Year.